First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, drama girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.
Guys, this is one of my favorite things about being able to do our job from home is that we can still spend time with our family, quality time. Hilarie's got George on her lap right now, and you are tuned into our households. Right now, we just finished watching episode 20, Lifetime Piling Up, air date May 10th, 2005. Sophia, give us a synopsis. What happened in this episode?
Okay, Joy, I'll take it away. While Nathan is unconscious in the hospital after his car accident at the track with Uncle Cooper, he has a dream sequence of an alternative life where the roles are completely switched. Lucas is the cocky jock with Peyton, while his parents, Karen and Dan, are married. Oof. Nathan's BFF is Haley, and his mom, Deb, runs her own cafe, which is actually a bar called Deb's Den. The boys' rivalry comes to a head while they compete for a spot in the elite basketball camp, High Flyers.
Woo! You guys, we've had so many stinker episodes in a row. Like, so many stinkers.
Been a bit.
Oh, man.
It's a hard thing to cover week to week. But this one felt like digging out of the hole. It was like, what can we do to get away from this, like, awful, subject matter?
What are you talking about?
George, go sit with your brother.
Which, you know what she's asked? It's a very pertinent question, which is all of our listeners want to know. What are you talking about?
We're talking about two brothers that play basketball.
That's weird.
That is weird. It was a weird episode. You nailed it.
But you're right. That's the thing. It broke us out of the mold of the cycle that we were in of trying to solve all these other problems and just kind of shook it all up, which it was super weird to see. But I loved it. I was really excited.
I loved it. It was nice because the dream sequence gave us the opportunity to get out of a rut. And it just felt a little bit like freedom. And one of the things that I loved was that it was a commentary on circumstance, on environment, on who people might be given certain opportunities or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And then you started to see certain things that were the same. Peyton's strength and her wisdom. You saw Brooke in that, beginning of season 1, looking for male validation space, going after it with Nathan rather than Lucas. And the thing I really loved was seeing that no matter what their circumstance, Nathan and Haley had chemistry that was undeniable.
Oh my God.
Undeniable.
I felt that too. I was watching it finally as an impartial observer and was really amazed to see that because sometimes I guess I have just wondered watching the episode, is the chemistry really there or is it just because of the scenario that they've both been thrust into? Because the writers write them well together. Like maybe that's just it.
The music choices, the way it's lit,
is it all just emotional manipulation? But to see Nathan and Haley, any way you slice it, those two have chemistry way more than Lucas and Haley ever did. So that was kind of fun to see.
And I loved that the writers, and I mean, what a testament to Mark Perry, coming from the Wonder Years. There were Wonder Years elements in this episode.
For sure.
And this classic love story of our show, which Nathan and Haley are, the way they nodded to it with the bracelet, a completely new way, but that bracelet still winds up on her wrist and he gives it to her. Yeah. I was like, oh, they're smart. I see what they're doing here. So and I like it.
It was the whole first season just shoved into one episode, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the way that you two talk to each other in the classroom, that was the scene that I was hot for. Because I've seen, like, Haley and Lucas talk to each other in the classroom, and it is platonic. Yeah. And you and Chad were so good at creating a believable, strong, platonic friendship. You could not do that with Nathan. Like, there are freaking fireworks going off around you two, and you're being so cute with each other, and you're not forcing it. It's not like you're flirting with
No.
him. But
Yeah.
get it.
That's cool.
Get it. Loved it.
And I also feel like it's a testament to the two of you as actors. Because listen, the hints were in the script. He still gives her the Cracker Jack bracelet.
Yeah.
Deb says, you two are going to wind up married someday. And he's like, ew, Mom, we're friends. You know, there's hints that Nathan and Haley are undeniable. And so, whereas it was always very clear that Haley and Lucas were going to be friends, and it was important that that platonic line wasn't crossed, you and James as performers had all the Nathan and Haley magic that you could put underneath this alternate reality. Yeah. And the writing supported it. And it's so fun to watch you both playing different versions of these humans, but keeping that energy going. It, as a fan, you know, we have enough distance now. We're watching the episode as fans for the first time. And as a fan, I'm like, it still hits. It still hits.
It just wasn't until Sophia said it that we got to watch all of those iconic moments between Haley and Nathan, but without the question mark of, is he gaming her? Because all of season 1, we had to wonder, like, is he going to hurt her?
Yeah.
You know? And so we couldn't really dive into our feelings because we had to prepare ourselves in case it went wrong. And this go round, we got to really celebrate it because we knew, like, oh my God, they've been best friends since they're babies. Like, it was a nice, it was a comfortable do-over.
That's so true. I really loved watching Brooke. I liked seeing back to like season 1 Brooke. It was fun. Because I love seeing where Brooke has progressed now, and I also love the sort of geeky Brooke putting together shards of paper.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I think like that's
in a
so
beautiful
you.
mind.
Yeah,
Just like,
totally. It's so you, Sophia.
100%.
But it was fun to see season 1 Brooke. How did you feel about that when you were filming it? Do you remember?
You know what's so crazy? I kept saying for all our friends at home, as we were watching this episode, I was like, what is this episode? I've never seen this episode. I don't remember whatever was happening when we were filming this, you know, which makes sense because at the end of the season, everything's always so crazy. And episode 20 was probably the last one that aired while we were still shooting. So of course we didn't get to see it. I didn't remember any of it. And I was like, am I in this episode? What do I do? And I just didn't know anything. And then, oh my God. And then Brooke Davis walks in on Nathan Scott in the shower. And I was like, oh no, I remember this. I just remember James and I being like, oh, come on, man. We were both so mortified, but the physical comedy of it was so funny that we wound up having like a hilarious time. But, you know, we were both in like those weird, ugly, like onesie things that
shorts.
make you look naked, but you're not. And you're just like, I've never looked like more of a creep than I do in this moment. And we wound up just laughing all day.
That's great.
Oh, God. And then I had to walk by Paul just like, oh.
The look on Paul's face. Oh, my gosh. But talk about Paul in the Letterman jacket. Hilarie was dying when we were watching.
You guys. Okay, look, I still have my Letterman jacket from high school because of course I do.
Yeah.
And I'm a hoarder.
Nostalgic.
And, you know, if I ever like go to promote like my high school or a fundraiser for my high school, I might pull it out. But there is zero possibility that I'm going to wear it on a night out in town just as like my coat. And to see Dan Scott roll up on the river court.
Just reminding everybody that he used to be the stud in the high school.
Oh my God.
References it. No one's like, you big fucking nerd.
It's painful. And you know what kills me is it feels like a device because they were trying to emasculate Paul in this alternate universe. You know, Dan Scott is this weak man and they just couldn't do it. Paul is such a powerful man. So they were like, put him in the Letterman jacket. It'll make him look like a loser.
What's dorky?
And he just looks like a big, strong man in a kid's coat. None of it works.
It made me appreciate the way things are on our show. Do you know what I mean?
Me
Like,
too.
there's certain things.
Yeah.
I remember Chad and I I do remember us having fun in the convertible the day that he was playing like bad Chad, you know?
Yeah.
And he was having fun getting to do this other thing because the mythology about the origin of our show is what we've all discussed before, that Mark Schwann had originally wanted Chad to play Nathan. And there was like a mix-up, and the studio wanted Chad to play Lucas, and whatever happened.
I thought Chad was the one who wanted to play Lucas because he had been playing sort of bad boys, and so he wanted to break out of that mold. Which is a smart move. That was my
understanding. Yeah, but you know, what the creator, what the writer, what the producers want, and then what the studio wants, and then what the actor wants are like oftentimes not the same things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing him in that role that some people in our little group originally thought he was destined for is weird. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because he's like soulful, but he's good at being a dick. As he inches towards James's legs, I believed it. I was like, I know that guy.
For some reason, because he's so convincing as that antagonist or as the villain character, it felt like if the roles had been switched, it would have been harder for me to believe that Nathan had a change of heart and was softening. I don't know why.
You mean if Chad played Nathan, it would have been harder?
Chad had played Nathan based on what we just saw in that episode.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. That's what I was thinking when I was watching. I was like, I don't know if I would have bought it as much because I like Chad starting in that zone of Lucas, of the soft-hearted, soulful guy, you know?
It was different for him. He played like a bad guy on Dawson's Creek. He'd been kind of like a slimy, flirty dude in a couple movies and stuff like that. And it was smart for him to be like, no, I want to be the poet. Sign me up. Let me do that voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad the show actually turned out the way that it did instead of this bizarro world.
It would have been weird if this dream was our whole show.
Yeah.
Hilarie, what was it like for you? Because, you know, the three of us as the girls were still playing the same parts.
Yeah.
But, you know, Joy, you had to create a whole different friendship with Nathan, you know, in this alternate reality. But Hill, you were kind of reliving Peyton and Nathan scenes with Peyton and Lucas.
Yeah.
How did you feel like you differentiated those? Or did you feel like you had to?
Well, I remember people showing me playback of the pilot, especially when we had to recreate that scene in my room, because they wanted it to be exactly the same. So my wardrobe's exactly the same. The way I'm positioned against the door is exactly the same. But my hair is like a power mullet. So there's like certain things that like can't match. And what I will say is that, again, the chemistry is very different. James and I started the show as like this contentious couple, and we never really had chemistry. I don't know anyone that's like, I'm a Nathan and Peyton ship. They're like, literally are none because they are not a good couple. So when like Peyton comes to pick Nathan up, whereas in the original pilot, where like Peyton's interacting with Lucas and it's very like loaded, like there's energy there. There's none when she's picking up Nathan, you know? It's just like, hey, man, you're screwing your life up. Get in the car. Let me be your buddy. It's strong buddy energy.
Yeah, it's big sister energy for sure.
So to see those energy shifts, it allowed for Peyton to be more of what you guys were saying, just kind of like this sage, wise character. I think the it's weird because none of us had chemistry reads. Yes, George, what do you want to talk about?
Plug it in.
George is looking for an amp right now. I have little Peyton Sawyer in my house. She's got a ukulele on so she can play guitar. We don't have it right now, but when Mom's done, we're going to rock so hard. Are you ready to rock?
Plug in my amp, Mom. What is she 4? How old is she now?
She just turned 4.
Oh my gosh.
Are you going to date Nathan or Lucas? Which one? You don't know.
I don't know.
Whichever one you want, George.
Yeah, honey, you don't have them all.
That's right. Have it all. Hey, listen, this might be a good moment in the conversation.
Oh.
Our listeners were asking, Hilarie, last week you asked us to make a cocktail for this week's episode. So I'm just going to give you guys the rundown. Here's what we're drinking, okay? So if you're at home, I want you to go get your mezcal. If you don't know what that is, you need to know, and it's a part of kind of a tequila. I want you to go get an orange, or half an orange will do. You're going to go get a jalapeno, and you're going to find some ginger liqueur. So I know all of you just have that lying around in your bar, but if you do.
Ginger beer, maybe? Could that be a replacement?
Ginger beer could work, actually. That might be quite nice. I also have this delicious dandelion bitters. Dandelion and burdock bitters. What's the company? Dr. Adam Schaub, I think? I don't know. Anyway.
It looks old-timey.
It's old-timey and fun. So this is my potion for today. So you're going to, and then you need mint. Go get some fresh mint. So we're going to do an ounce or two, depending on how you're feeling, of the mezcal, a splash of the ginger liqueur. You're going to juice half an orange into that glass and muddle up some mint and throw that all in with rocks and just, ice, and mix it around. And then finally, I want you to take that jalapeno and grate it on a zester and just zest that jalapeno into your drink. And then you have our cocktail. I don't even know what we're going to call this, but we're all enjoying it, and we hope you do at home as well. So there you go. That's our cocktail break. The spicy lady. There you go.
I like a spicy lady.
It's my
who's a spicy lady? Karen. Karen Scott is a spicy lady.
In this episode,
she sure is.
This is the Karen Scott drink. That's what this is.
It's very interesting that in Nathan's dream, where the roles are reversed, they go so far as not just to be reversed in terms of who Dan chose, but it's giving the woman he chose the power and taking his away. So he is this sort of subservient husband. His wife is the boss. She is the moneymaker. And she's like a no-holds-barred bitch, and I like it.
Ironically, though, he still did marry. Well, if she's the moneymaker and he's the one who's staying at home, isn't that sort of still the situation with Deb? Oh, I guess Deb's home, but Deb had money.
Well, Deb's daddy gave it to Dan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they fronted the money for his car dealership.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been cool to see him and Karen living modestly. You know what I mean? Like,
rather
like
than
two
in
kids who only have high school degree, like diplomas. If both of them dropped out and didn't have any parent giving them, this special footing that Deb's parents hooked them up with.
Yeah.
It would have been cool to see them living in Karen's house as opposed to Dan's big, huge mansion. I think that would have made Paul's bit more believable.
It was so interesting watching Karen and Keith in that scenario.
Ooh,
Karen cheating on
the
him.
Adulterers.
Wow.
And Keith, the owner of the dealership, and being so cruel to Dan. And then Karen dropping that bomb. When he says, I would have raised Lucas like my own. And she says, sometimes I think he is. Because they're both assholes.
And they never followed up on that. They never circled back.
No.
I mean, that was a big drop. Yeah. Like,
it was like an anvil that dropped in the middle of the room, and then nobody addressed it.
So do we think that means that Karen hooked up with Keith like at the same time she was dating his brother when Lucas was conceived? Is that what we're inferring?
Why would she not have let? Why would she allow Lucas to think that Dan was his? Nathan to think that Dan was his dad.
I'm confused, guys. I'm so lost. We need more tequila, Joy.
No, I don't need any more tequila, I promise.
It was confusing, but what I think was done really gracefully was the coming out of the dream sequence, because it starts off really subtle.
I liked that.
It was really subtle, and it was like Lucas saying something to Nathan that was just kind of like off. It was too nice,
Yeah.
And then Haley coming up with the bracelet that turns into the wedding ring, and you're like, oh, man.
You're like, here it goes.
Yeah, it was smart. Ooh, and then him telling her not to come home. That was rough. That really got me. But
me too.
I know he was doing it for her. doing it because of her best interest, but also it seemed like for himself, he was kind of climbing out of the selfish, or maybe not selfish is the wrong word. He was climbing out of the self-pity zone of, I hate what's being done to me, and started recognizing maybe something positive for himself that could be coming out of this difficult scenario. I don't know exactly what that's going to be. I look forward to seeing it in the next episode, but it seemed like he was making a choice really for himself rather than trying to solve a problem.
I mean, do we talk about suicide on our show? I don't know, because that's what's being implied. And it's what Lucas asks him, and then they're interrupted, and so he can't get an answer. But that's a very serious subject matter to tackle on a teen drama. And, we're touching on it. We're lightly going there. But I'll be disappointed if we don't, go there and get Nathan help. This idea that, I'm going to drive into a wall, and then, I don't know, I'll just figure it out. Yeah.
It's also interesting. There were a couple of things going back and watching now that I felt like there was foreshadowing for, which is probably just something that we ascribe meaning, right? But things we didn't know were coming. Like when Nathan says on the end of Levity, when he says to Brooke and Peyton, I know you both want me, when they're visiting the hospital room, and it's like, well, when they sprung that surprise Brooke and Nathan sex tape on us, and we were all horrified. I
totally forgot about that.
Oh my God, in whatever season 3 or 4, I don't remember when it is. God, I was so upset. We were all upset. It was like, what are you talking about? This is
hated
gross.
that.
I hated it. And now I'm like, ew, is that? Ew. Wait, now I can't stop thinking about that when he says this. And the other thing on the non-humorous / gross side, the serious end, is when you talk about this stuff in terms of him and really our show through him, just lightly touching on the potential for a young man to be depressed and potentially have a suicide attempt or suicidal ideation, is when we fast forward to after the time jump and Nathan is struggling wildly with depression.
That's right.
And he's in that dark place and throws himself out of the wheelchair into the pool and all those things. I don't know. It kind of gives me chills to see it now and to know what's coming that I'm aware no one knew would be coming years later. But it certainly makes me wonder, looking back at it, what more we should have done as a show.
His mom leaves for her own rehab while he's still in a hospital bed,
his family.
But for real, what's natural protocol?
Yeah.
What's normal protocol?
Yeah,
if someone attempts suicide, does a social worker get called in? Who from the county, who from the state is alerted? I mean, there's got to be a system of checks and balances.
I don't think there is a lot of the time. I mean, there may be, but unless there's a crime involved, which technically a suicide attempt is a crime, but as I understand,
he destroyed some expensive property with this crash.
Did? That's right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think most of the time there is. I think it's just people sort of, unless there is immediate attention, medical attention that is needed, in which case then the hospital does have a responsibility to make those kinds of phone calls. But otherwise, I think maybe it's just the family just sort of tries to deal with it on their own. Yeah.
At what point does CPS get called? It's like this kid just tried to kill himself. There's no CPS in One Tree Hill. Seriously, you guys, all these children live alone.
It's so weird.
Nobody gets a phone call.
No breaks on the tracks, and nobody gets the call. I mean, it's a really big deal.
Yeah. And it's good that we're seeing scenes where all of his friends are surrounding him.
Yeah.
But also, we can't expect Lucas and Brooke and Peyton and Haley to have the skill set to deal with something like that at 16 years old. That's insane.
No, not at all.
It's crazy. There needed to be more responsible adults in the room, for sure.
Karen added some gravity to it when she was sitting in the hallway with Whitey and she couldn't get a hold of Keith, and she's like, he should know. What's going on with Nathan.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Why did none of the parents get the memo that there were no brake marks on the track? strange.
Oh, it's weird.
Can we blame Cooper? No. Who was there that day? I mean, it's just, yeah, season 2's a rough one for me. I feel like there's so many disjointed things happening towards the end of season 2 that I'm like, the dream sequence was kind of a nice break from it because there were no rules. It was just like,
listen, season 2 is rough for a lot of shows. I think it's really hard to keep. I don't know. You know what? Succession had a great season 2. I loved season 2. I thought they did a great. It was like better than the first season for me. But that's so rare. I don't know why. Why is there always a second season cloud?
You know what's interesting? I had a friend of mine who's in a band explain this to me. You know, they had a big, hit debut album. And I remember a couple of the guys being at a dinner party. And it was something I'd never considered before. He was talking about, and Joy, you probably know this, in the world of music, they call it like the sophomore slump. What is your sophomore album going to be if you've had a hit first album?
Yeah.
And the pressure of outperforming your first record, of doing better than the first thing you created, can really be just crippling emotionally and psychologically. And I wonder if that's some of it. If, a show that premiered 6 months ahead of when it was supposed to and grew week by week, hand over fist because of word of mouth, and started amassing this incredible, really organic fan base. Yeah. That was really, had a finger on the pulse of what young people were going through. And then you're supposed to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like 24 times.
Yeah.
The episode
24 times.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
For sure. And then they started wanting bottle episodes like we talked about the other week, where they want to be able to do some that are standing alone instead of drawing out a storyline that goes on, so they're also getting all these demands from the network on, here's what's working, here's the formula that's working on our other shows. Try and do this, try and do that. I mean, it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But, that's not really how
so
our
we
industry
literally
works.
went back to the pilot and we were like, I guess we'll just do this again.
Let's do it one more time.
Fine. What a good idea.
Do you think that they were like having a panic in the writer's room and they were like, we got to go back and watch the pilot and figure out what the fuck we're doing. We don't remember what we're doing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What happens to Nathan on the table?
Right? I picture them in the writer's room just like throwing scripts, pages falling everywhere, panic. How do we make this TV show?
Yeah, it happens everywhere, though. It's not just our show. It happens in all kinds of shows. And in theater, too, by the way. The second act is notoriously not as good as the first, or just like, because the second act does so much heavy lifting until you get to the very end. There is a lot of pressure to dig in deeper. The first season was so much setup for us, and as is Act 1 in a lot of shows and plays, and as is many other TV series and movies sometimes too. I mean, you just get into Act 2 and you have to dive in deeper. And with a show like ours, where there's already so much drama, so much emotion, so many feelings, to go deeper.
We've been to the hospital so many times already.
I know.
Why have both of these boys had to have major surgery in the first 2 seasons? It's a lot.
But it also is kind of like our careers. I mean, look, this was like our first big, huge job. And then what's Act 2? The fear of leaving. And like Act 2 as a whole in life is always intimidating, whether it's like going off to college or trying to like get that next job after your first big break, or, you've got kids and dogs all over the place and you're like, how do I set goals again? Who am I? What am I doing with my life? I don't know. If us girls had gotten to change, because Haley, you're right, Haley, Brooke, and Peyton are the same. If us girls had gotten to change, what would you have wanted your character to be like different? How different would you want your character?
OMG. I would have loved to play either of your characters. How fun. Either way.
Do you want to be naked in the shower?
By the way, talk about the repeats. Brooke walks out of the shower with Nathan in front of Dan. It's literally what you had to do in the pilot that you hated.
Been there. They're like, well, we know we can't ask Hilarie to do it again. She'll just be a bitch.
Isn't that so interesting that so there were these repetitions, but with these sort of tessellations in them as well?
Yeah, remember when they told me you were going to replace me on the show? They were like, We'll have Sophia do it this go around. I mean, there's like little tiny, from season 1. I mean, that was right about the time they were like, we've got someone else to come in and do the sexy stuff.
Oh, right.
And so to come
and
back
then I was like, I'm sorry, nobody told me that's why I'm here. You told me I was coming here to be the comic relief. What the
No, well, look.
So mad.
Do comedy with your boobs, Sophia.
Do comedy with your tits, kid. No, I refuse.
Wait, so we have evil titties and comedy tits? How many different kinds of tits did we have on our show?
Oh, boy.
Evil titties, comedic titties. So many tits.
God, these titties are so talented.
Multifaceted titties.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So how different would you want your character in an alt universe? Like if we had to pick something different.
I mean, if we were going to do this alt universe episode and really go there and let all the girls switch roles, I would have loved Brooke Davis in this episode to have been so far down the spectrum that she was the Erica Marsh. That she was already the class president and she had no social life and she was just a completely different kind of person. For 2 acts, like, why not?
Yeah.
But that's not what we got.
Extra in a different way, man.
Yeah. I remember when and I think I may have said this on the show already, I can't remember, but when I got the job, a girlfriend of mine reminded me of this recently, that when I got this job, she walked in the bathroom, she was at my house and walked in the bathroom and I was sticking bobby pins behind my ears because I wanted Haley's ears to stick out because I thought that would just be really cute. And she was like, but what if the show runs for a really long time? That's going to hurt.
That's going to hurt.
I was like, yeah, you're right. And I was having a really hard time like situating it in a way so that they would really do that. But where I'm going with this is that my point is, I think it would have been really fun. I wish that I had been comfortable enough with myself at the time to really allow Haley to fully embrace the sort of shy, nerdy, bookish, maybe nerdy's the wrong word. I don't know if that's appropriate anymore or not, but I kind of like nerds.
I love
that's still
the word
a thing.
nerd.
Yeah, but
nerds are hot.
But still, like, just totally allow her to be that kind of bookish, shy girl. Whereas I think so much of our time in Wilmington, especially the first season, it turned into a competition in a lot of ways, which we've discussed many times on this show before, just through us being young women. And that was the environment that I think was kind of expected of young women in all in the same environment, kind of vying for like, who's going to be the front runner? Who's going to be?
Who's hot?
Yeah. Yeah. And also just the exterior forces that were intentionally pitting us against each other. But if all of those things hadn't existed and I had just sort of known then what I know now, to be able to really embrace allowing Haley to be as nerdy as she wanted to be for as long as it would have worked on the show, instead of trying to turn her into something like a little sexier or hotter or whatever to kind of compete with you guys, I would have loved that. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Well, I hate that you felt like you had to compete, but
no, it's just, that's just part of, it's part of life. It's part of, especially as a young woman. And that was the environment. And, I wanted to be, I looked up to you guys too. Like we all sort of, I think, had this admiration of each other in different ways. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're so cool and pretty. And like, I want to be a pretty girl too. And I want to be, so instead of just feeling comfortable with who I was, which comes with age, really, that kind of comfortability, I went into a different zone, which is normal.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's important to be tender with those versions of ourselves because we all felt that in one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
there's nothing weirder than getting ready in the morning and being all lined up in mirrors and being like, who's getting fake lashes today? Whose hair looks good?
Yeah.
You're all being painted together.
It can't be about the character. It has to be about like, oh, the press we're going to get or the way we're going to look on TV, who's going to look the best in this episode, or, it's so gross. It's so unnatural.
But I guess when I say we should be gentle with ourselves, we have to remember that wasn't a metric we set.
Yeah.
That's what we were told the metric was by all the people in charge. And there are people in charge in other environments who don't tell young women that that's what the metric is.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of us for doing our best, but also not hiding that we were uncomfortable. And yeah, it may have taken us time to finally stop, trying to keep up with the Joneses and actually just go out together and be like, how do you feel? Because I feel fucking weird. I feel really weird.
This all could have been solved with one night of drinking, you guys. What?
Totally. But we were young and we were good kids. It took us a while to get to drinking, guys. Get there faster, I guess, is the moral of the story.
Man.
Hilarie, tell us about your character. How do you think you would have liked to see Peyton?
I think about economics a lot because I went to a high school where the year after my freshman year, they built a new high school in the rich community and all the bullies moved away. Like any person that had ever made my life hell was gone. And it made me hate people with money so much because that really was like the line. And when we were filming the show, I don't think that we really thought about economics in the way we're having conversations right now. But Peyton and Haley lived like next door to each other. Literally, our houses are catty corner from each other. And we lived kind of on the, not the fancy neighborhood. These are older homes. It is there's a food desert where those two homes are, which means that the people that live there don't have easy access to a grocery store. There's a lot of economic and racial factors at play in that part of Wilmington. And I would have loved to have seen Peyton hanging out with the kids in her neighborhood, like the River Court boys. I loved our scenes when we would all be together. And I think we all just kind of like glowed tonight when we got to see the scene on the River Court because they were so special. And they look good. They feel good. They send a good message. And it doesn't matter which boy is on the right side and which boy is on the bad side. We've had Chad be the good guy and James be the bad guy. And in this episode, we got the reverse of that. What you see is community in those scenes. And I, as Peyton, would have loved to have spent more time with the River Court boys because I feel like they represent a really important part of a community and of a school. And they are the guys that, lived in our neighborhood. And and plus, they're the fun ones. Like when we partied outside of work, those are the guys we partied with. It was like Cullen and Vaughn.
We were going to Vaughn's apartment.
And Lee. Yeah. I mean, they were like the fun ones. So that would have, to be a girl that infiltrated that boys club would have felt fun.
That would attract for Peyton too, especially for a girl whose parents were never home. You would need to build a community of like boys and brothers around
dudes.
You. Yeah, for sure.
To feel safe. Yeah. And I just love those guys. They're so fun. I love the banter between all of them. It just adds a layer that like our show can really miss sometimes because it starts to try to be sexy. And then you bring those River Court boys in and it's like, we're high school kids. Let's get weird.
Yeah.
The episodes are always better when those boys are in them.
I agree.
Always better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pay them more money, by the way. You know who else makes an episode feel fuller? It's Brett Claywell.
Oh, I love him. He was so great.
He was great.
He's so reliable.
He really is. And he's
so
never
underrated.
too cool for the bit.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, you know how some actors can be too cool for the bit?
He really commits.
Yeah. Does anyone have his number?
Yes.
We should text him. Be like, Brett, what are you doing right now? You want to jump on a podcast? I don't have his number.
Well, he's gonna join us soon. We have Brett booked for an upcoming episode, but I'm just gonna tell
him
that. Yeah.
Just tell him we're talking about
When did that happen? I missed that. I'm glad.
Hold on, you guys, I'm a grandma. I use voice dictation. So for everyone who's listening to the podcast, here we go. Hey, boyfriend, ! It's Hilarie and Joy and Sophia, ! We're literally talking about you right now on the podcast, so I hope your ears are burning. Period. You're the effing coolest. Period. XOXO. Guys, that's how I text you too. I have to talk everything out. My kids hate it. They literally walk around the house like, okay, mom, period. Okay, mom, !
I love it.
Message sent.
I love a voice to text. It's great.
Me too.
You know what I did last night?
What?
Speaking of alternate universe, I went on a house date with my husband. We put the children to sleep, and then he lit a fire in our bedroom and we watched a movie. And you know what movie we watched?
What?
So Cold.
No, you didn't.
You better believe it. And so listen, Joy is so hot in this movie. She's so hot in this movie. And she's like this edgy documentary filmmaker. And I woke up this morning and I was like, I need to get my act together. First of all, you're fantastic in the movie. And the movie is super, super spooky. And Jeff was like, we have to go to that hotel because
you got to go to this hotel, guys. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's a really cool hotel.
I'm scared.
But Joy, I'm copying you today because I have been wearing brown eyeliner for years, but you wore very black eyeliner in this movie. And I don't know if you can tell, but
oh, you look so sexy. Ooh, I
don't
love
know if you
it.
can tell, but I was like, I'm gonna do what Joy's doing. So to bring this full circle, it reminds me of us getting ready in the morning on the show, all feeling a little bit like, oh, what's she doing? What's she doing? I woke up this morning and was like, I want to look like my friend Joy in So Cold the River, one of the top streaming horror films on, what is it, Amazon Prime?
Apple, Amazon, it's everywhere. I don't know. It's crazy.
It's on all the things.
Doing really well. It's crazy.
Baby, it was
spooky. It was spooky.
Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water. Yeah, you know, I'm so grateful that now we're at a phase in our lives where it's fun to look at each other and be like, ooh, I'm inspired. I want to do that. Oh, like it's inspiration feels fun where it's just doesn't have to be competitive at all. It's just like out of sheer love and excitement and sharing creativity. It's like sharing Pinterest boards.
It is. It's the best.
Great.
Pinterest boards for our eyelashes.
Yeah, fine. Wearing that black eyeliner like I'm, God, Peyton Sawyer in 2004 loved some black eyeliner. So I'm back on it. You brought me back.
I need to bring, you know who wears black eyeliner and pulls it off great. And she's been wearing it for years. And sometimes it's actually the only makeup she wears is black eyeliner. Michaela McManus.
Yes. The tear line.
It's so good.
Listen, you guys, my husband had to go to the city. And so being able to work from home means that she's in my lap. It also means that we get to drink Joy's cocktails, and it means that we only have to wear like shirts and pajama pants. So it's the best gig ever.
I love
How do we do a TV show like this? Like, how do we?
I don't know.
How
Can we do a TV show on Zoom?
Yeah. Fine, done.
There's a sitcom
I never want to wear pants
somewhere.
again.
My dream job is a sitcom right now. That schedule is like to die for.
It's the best.
What do you show up on Monday morning for 3 hours and then Tuesday for 4, maybe?
Okay, so this episode was alternate reality. Could we do One Tree Hill as a sitcom?
Honestly, I would. If you told me we could do that life, I would do it. Hi, George. That would be amazing.
Oh my gosh. We're just like knocking on each other's doors. It works with everybody just showing up in Peyton's bedroom all the time with nobody ever knocking.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, how do we do a remix of One Tree Hill and Three's Company and We're the Company?
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
Hello?
That's so
Your
fun.
apartment, but the apartment everyone lived in. It's like you and Nathan, and then Brooke moves in, and then at some point, like, the rest of us are always there.
We're always there.
The apartment is the sitcom.
Did you guys see the Facts of Life that they did with Jennifer Aniston? And
I did not. How was it?
It was cute. It was super cute.
Okay.
It was funny to see all that. I mean, I don't know if it would still work today, but it was fun to see. But I don't know. Can you imagine One Tree Hill as a sitcom?
Yes. 100% yes.
I can imagine us doing a sitcom. So, like, I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
You know what, though?
Wait,
guys.
Somebody write it.
We have a listener question this week. And if Katie, the listener who submitted it, is cool with it, I want to take it and slightly flip it to this combo.
Ooh, go, yeah.
Because Katie asked, she said, I don't want to be, is iconic, still is. But if you had to choose a different theme song for the show, what would it be?
Ooh.
So I want to know, to piggyback Katie's question, what would the theme song of One Tree Hill the sitcom be?
One Tree Hill the sitcom song. Interesting.
Like, is it a Dolly Parton song? It feels like it should be.
I mean, so George is going through a huge Dolly Parton phase, right?
Yeah.
And I played her the 9 to 5 song.
It's the best song in the world.
I love that
the
song.
video.
My karaoke song.
And it struck so many chords, just like women working in a men's world.
I fucking love that movie.
Babe?
The best. Can we do that movie?
Oh,
Ooh.
my fucking God.
How do we do a 9 to 5 remake? Ooh, it's a musical now too. And we all sing. Let's just do the musical version of 9 to 5.
Do the damn thing. That's it.
But like as a movie.
Wait, so is that our new One Tree Hill theme song?
Sure,
What's our
because
theme song?
you know, once we jumped 5 years ahead, we're grown-ups, you know? And so I think it works.
So
We're
I'm
all
looking
just fighting the
looking
man.
up Bruce Springsteen songs right now because there is something about sort of the everyman, the working man that, you know, Bruce always resonates with that I think also.
You're from New Jersey, Joy. Jersey.
Whatever the Bruce Springsteen song is you land on, then you have to cover it, obviously.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
please.
My hometown, I guess that probably makes the most sense.
Yes.
I like that.
Born to
That's
Run,
good.
also super legendary. Born to Run.
That feels very Peyton.
All right. That's all. That's my
always
vote.
leave.
It also always reminds me of Runaway Bride.
Baby, we were born to run.
Wait, Sophia, what song would you pick?
I mean, I said a Dolly Parton song. Honestly, any of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, 9 to 5. I'm down. We could do a little remake to make it like our show. It doesn't matter to me. I just want it now.
Fine.
Katie also said, what's the funniest? Mylene. I'm sorry. Mylene said this. What's the funniest moment you had while filming the show?
Oh, geez.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, there were
Literally the funniest. I don't like to be competitive. What's a funny thing that
I
happened?
know. I don't like to be
It
competitive.
doesn't have to be the funniest.
There is no funniest when you did something for 10 years.
That's
It's too
true.
hard.
I mean, could you even answer the question, what's the funniest thing that happened in all of your high school? Like, I don't know.
Yes. No, I can't answer that question.
You can.
Okay, go.
Yeah.
Answer it.
Freshman year, I get my mother to take me to Abercrombie because all of the rich bitches at school wear Abercrombie, and I'm trying desperately to fit in because if you don't fit in, then you're the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
So we go and we get this like super cute baby size skirt, and I am pumped to wear this baby size skirt. It's a belt with a button. And I wear it, and I have lunch the same time as the whole football team. Like they must have had some class, and I had class, and we're all in the same lunch block, and we're coming from downstairs or from upstairs, and I had just gotten brand new sandals that were so cute, but very slippery. And I fall down the entire flight of stairs in this teeny, teeny, tiny baby skirt in front of the entire football team. And it becomes my legacy. And so then I started dressing like a man, like pretty soon after that. Like that's when I was like, I'm gonna wear some big slacks, just some big slacks.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, just to be like spread eagle falling down a set of stairs. You know, it's like no one's ever seen my panties before. Oh my God. And now it's like the entire senior class.
I'm so mortified for you.
I'm sweaty thinking about it because the sense memory, like I know what that skirt felt like. I know what the sandals felt like.
My face is so hot.
Those Abercrombie skirts were so short. They were so short.
So stressful.
This is why I'm androgynous now. Nothing to see here, folks. Sorry.
Move right along. Move right along.
But on the show, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
I don't know. I can't really remember. I mean, God, I wish I had great stories and I just don't have, as I've mentioned before, I don't have a great memory with a lot of things like that. I don't know.
There was an actor that Sophia and I worked with one season who really sold himself. This was like a day player, Sophia, and this dude was real aggressive with the two of us. And he has since gone on to be on other TV shows, and he always lists like a character name, but none of his characters actually have names. Like he makes these up to put on the internet. And I see him from time to time in a TV show, just like staring from the background. And I'm like, I know that fucker. And he's so uncomfortable because he like told us he was a model and all sorts of stuff. And I just remember you and I being like, how do we get out of this?
How do we get away from this person?
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
those are weird.
Man. Those are weird
days.
I'm texting Paul right now to see if he has a good, funny memory because he's so good at like, he's a great storyteller. He remembers everything.
I mean, you know what's funny? I can't necessarily remember what they were caused by, but I just remember the days where we would be laughing till we were in tears. But it was like,
it's only because it was
like
church
3
giggles.
in the morning and you couldn't remember. Yeah, like you would just lose your mind after being at work for so long.
That happened at your wedding. That was Brooke and Julian's wedding. And I do remember, I don't know who I was sitting with, but there was also some peach moonshine getting passed around. And
Dacia's hooked it up. Guys, I still have 1 jar in my freezer. I've been saving it.
Oh, yeah. What?
Oh, he sent me home with a lot of moonshine. Yeah. And I'm down to 1 last little baby mason jar. And I'm like, if anybody drinks this, I will murder them.
You better share that with us. We need to have someone go over.
Yeah, Joy can make a cocktail with that. Come on.
Oh, it just needs, oh gosh, yes. Yeah, that's all I remember though, is those big scenes where we were just so tired and so it had been such a long day and we were, underfed or overfed or whatever. And just, everybody was starting to slip clear alcohol into their water bottles and we were all just having long days. And I do remember that at Brooke and Julian's wedding. We were all just, Greg Prange was directing that episode, I'm pretty sure. And he was so irritated with us. Come on. Everybody wants to get out of here. We're like, we know, I'm so sorry.
There's also nothing worse than getting the church giggles in an actual church because the echo makes it so much worse.
Oh, it's awful. You can't look at anybody and you just start bursting into fits of laughter.
Lisa Goldstein and I used to get the church giggles so
You
bad.
did?
So bad. My God, she's a fun person to giggle with.
Should we spin a wheel?
Yeah, let's spin a wheel. Most likely to win the lottery and lose the ticket. Me. God.
No.
Guys, I can't even get in line at like Six Flags or Disneyland or wherever. I will get in the line with my ticket. And by the time I reach the front, I have no idea where the ticket is.
Like the deli counter. You're just like, I don't know what number I am. I've been here 20 minutes.
I promise.
You need one of those little clear pouches that hangs on a lanyard around your neck that you can just put all your stuff in.
I do. I need a tourist lanyard.
No. No, look, it's not a scatterbrain thing so much as it is I'm busy. What do you want from me?
It's like, I got better things to focus on than this tiny piece of paper, unless the tiny piece of paper is worth $100 million, and then it's extremely unfortunate.
A character on the show is for sure Keith. Like, Keith loses the lottery ticket because he's doomed. Poor
That's
Keith.
Sweet, man. You're right. Okay, it's Joy and it's Keith.
Yeah.
What a winning combo.
We finally found someplace we fit together.
All right.
Can't wait for the next episode.
Bye.
Season 221. What could have been? Bye. Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at DramaQueensOTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iHeartRadio.com. See you next time.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queen.